We're done? No. Okay. Oh, that's early, honey. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksuramilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prudana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Sakans Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prishu Bhanu Siddhadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Pranitinanda Shadvaita Giradhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. I'm going to read from the Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 8, entitled Attain the Supreme, text number 18. We begin with 18. Avyakta vyaktaya sarva
Avyakta vyaktaya sarva
pravatnyohar agame
pravantyahara agame
radriyagame praliyante
ragyagame pradyante
tadraiva vyakta samgyake.
tatraiva vyakta samgyake.
Translation. And we have our translator here. Underpaid, but enthusiastic nevertheless. What's that? Raghavan is translating this time. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter when the night falls, they are merged into the unmanifest again. So this is text 19. You don't have to repeat this, I'll just read it. Bhuta gramas evayam bhutva praliyate radriyagame vishaparta pravatnyuha agame. Again and again when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Purport. The less intelligent who try to remain within this material world may be elevated to higher planets, and then again must come down to this planet Earth. During the daytime of Brahma, they can exhibit their activities on higher and lower planets within this material world. But at the coming of Brahma's night, they are all annihilated. In the day, they receive various bodies for material activities, and at night they no longer have bodies but remain compact in the body of Vishnu. Then again they are manifest at the arrival of Brahma's day, bhutva praliyate. During the day they become manifest, and at night they are annihilated again. Ultimately, when Brahma's life is finished, they are all annihilated and remain unmanifest for millions and millions of years. And when Brahma is born again in another millennium, they are again manifest. This way they are captivated by the spell of the material world. But those less intelligent persons who take to Krishna consciousness use the human life fully in their devotional service to the Lord, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus they transfer themselves even in this life to the spiritual planet of Krishna and become eternally blissful there, not being subject to such rebirths. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswatundeve Gauravani Vicharane Nirvishesha Srinivadi Paskadyade Satarne. Have you heard of the Bhagavad Gita before? Good. So this is the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. And in every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna more or less says something similar. Bhagavad Gita essentially only deals with 3 subjects. Well, it deals with, they say 5 subjects. One in Sanskrit, the Sanskrit is Ishvara, which means the controller. And then there is Jiva, which is the living entities. Then we have Prakriti, which is material nature. Then we have Karma, which is activities. And finally we have Kala, Prakriti, material nature.
You said Prakriti, I think.
Kala, time. But actually the main subjects of Bhagavad Gita are 3. One of them is called Brahman, the eternality of the soul. The other is called Paramatma, the indwelling guide within our heart. And finally there's Bhagavan, or the all-attractive Supreme Person. Todo attractive. Now here in this verse, it talks about how the whole material universe is created and then annihilated. Now, obviously, most of us here have no experience of the universe getting annihilated. If we had that experience, we wouldn't be here right now. So it seems quite incredible. But then again, in this body, our bodies are being annihilated at every moment. Of course, we don't remember that. It's not so easy to notice it. But if we were, someone say our aunt saw us when we were 5 years old. And then she saw us when we were 20. And she remarks, "Oh, you've changed so much." So actually the body has changed. We just don't notice it all the time. Of course, when we're 5, we want to be 20. And when we're 30, we want to be 20 again. But that's not possible. But the good news, is that we're eternal. And that no matter what happens to the body, nothing is actually happening to us. It's like going to a movie. And we're happy when the villain Sometimes we're happy when the villain, it depends who we are. We're happy when the hero wins. Because nowadays sometimes people are happy when the villain wins. But actually, although we may feel some happiness, we haven't really won or lost. It's just the feeling we have. So the material world means that we, the soul within the body, are having so many different feelings. And according to how we're feeling, we're doing different things. But no matter what we do, no matter how we feel, we remain the same person. And even, according to Bhagavad Gita, even our body changes into the form of another species of life. Although we may have different feelings, still we'll be the same soul, the same person. Now, in the human form of life, there's an advantage. Although we may live for our feelings, but we have more intelligence than the other species of life. Sometimes, not always. For example, an ant. An ant has a lot of intelligence for certain things. For instance, if there are any ants here, then they'd be looking for some sugar. And most of us don't know where the sugar is. But if we had a contest, who could find the sugar first, I'd bet on the ant. But then again, the ant is looking for sugar simply to eat it and get intoxicated. Practically every ant is an alcoholic. And there's no remedial measures to change ants so they become sober. There's no Ants Alcoholics Anonymous. They only are thinking of how to find the sugar, eat it, and get intoxicated. You ever see the ants? They're walking around. They're just going in a circle. And if you chase it away, then it comes back and goes back into the circle. Even if it was an ant right now, it wouldn't be very much interested in the class. It may have come to the class, but it has different motives than hopefully we have. So we could also change our body and get the body of an ant. And if we come back next week, hopefully there's some sugar. So at least it's offered to Krishna, the sugar. So right now we have different intelligence than the ant. Ants have intelligence to find sugar. And we have intelligence that we could find out who we are. For instance, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says our bodies are changing. Now, most of us have to admit our bodies are different than when they were 5 years old. if someone's convinced that they still have a 5-year-old body, then it's very difficult to understand our philosophy. But although our bodies have changed, still we have to understand that we haven't changed. So the soul, according to Bhagavad Gita, the soul is eternal, but the body is only temporary. Now, if we're eternal, after giving up this body, we're not going to disappear. As a matter of fact, the body never stays. It's always disappearing. But we ourselves were never disappearing. Therefore, the conclusion is that the body is already dead. And the soul is never dead. So the body can't die because it was never alive. Logically, something that's never alive can never die. And something which was never dead can never die. So this idea that our bodies are going to change and we have to leave it, go somewhere else, is not so, it's just logical. If someone says you're going to have to leave this room eventually, because Atmaniveda and his wife are going to lock it up eventually.
With Sasha's help.
And Sasha's help. And therefore everyone has to leave. So, generally speaking, we don't have to be dragged out. Unless they didn't serve out any food. Prasadam. Because we know this, when we leave this room, there's someplace else to go. Therefore, we're not overwhelmed by the thought that I have to leave this room. Now, we looked outside and we saw there was nothing out there. Of course, it would be pretty rare in New York to look outside and see nothing out there. If we saw that, though, then we'd be a little reluctant to leave here. So we're only reluctant to leave this body because we don't know where we're going. If we were told after you leave this room that you're going on a trip to Hawaii for 3 months, free trip to Hawaii in a 7-star hotel, then everyone would be, well, let's leave the room as soon as we can. If we were told you're going to leave the room and you're going to go to the Ukraine to fight, we might want to stay here as long as we can. So similarly, not knowing about how karma works or where we're going, we don't know whether we should leave the room or not, this body or not. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita cautions us that we're eternal, but we should be careful about what we do in this body. Krishna is not trying to scare us without any purpose. Now we may think, all right, if I leave the body and I become a dog, it's not so bad in New York. People take good care of their dogs. But if I was told that eventually I have to leave this world and go to sleep, we don't think that's so bad. Matter of fact, most of us after leaving this room, we're probably going to go home and go to sleep. So no one's afraid. Most of us aren't afraid, I'm going to go to sleep. I don't want to go to sleep. No, most of us don't mind going to sleep. Now we're going to go to sleep for 311 trillion years, 40 billion years. Some people would like that idea. They need a good rest. I'm sure after 311, 40 billion years, when I wake up, I'll be quite refreshed. Be raring to go, all right. Just let me go back for a few billion years more. I'm still a little tired. No, we wouldn't like the idea I'm going to go to sleep for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. Even if we woke up 1 or 2 times during the night. So Krishna is telling us this because that's how things work. So that we become a little careful about how we utilize this body. Most of us believe that we're going to be here forever. Although we know it's not true, we still believe like that. Although we know that the body's changing, and we all know that the body's not getting younger. And although we see that people get older, and even in New York, sometimes people even die. Although it's not recommended. For example, Prabhupada was, I've given this example many times, our spiritual teacher, was in London one time and he was surrounded by reporters. And they asked Prabhupada, they asked him that you're from India, correct? And he said, yes. And then they said, well, but why in India are so many people getting sick and dying? So Prabhupada said, you're right. In India, many people get sick and die. As a matter of fact, everyone in India eventually gets sick and dies. Apparently. But here I've been in London for some time, and I've noticed that here in London, people get sick here also. And I've heard that everyone dies here also. So what's the difference between here and India? The night of Brahma. That the death rate in India is 100%. And in the scientifically advanced country called England, the death rate is still 100%. Of course, in New York, it's only 99.9%, so we have a chance. Death personified wouldn't dare It's too expensive for him to stay here.
Stay in New York to live forever.
One time, one man sent his servant to the village to buy something. And when the servant arrived at the village, he saw death personified, waiting for him. So he became very afraid. And he immediately came back to his master and said, when I came to the village to buy something, I saw death personified there, and he was smiling at me. So I've come back here and asked you, what should I do? So the master said, go to that other village and buy it there. So the servant left and went to the other village to buy what his master wanted. And then the master went to the village and looked around, and there he also saw death personified, smiling. So he said, my servant came here and you were smiling at him. Why were you smiling at my servant? So death personified told him, he said, well, actually I was expecting him to be at this other village. The village that the master had sent the servant the second time to. So I was very surprised to see him here, because I'm also in the second village waiting for him. So we have to be serious that although the illusion in the material world is not only that we're this body, but we're going to be here for a long, long time. Brahma only lives for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. And I hope to attend his disappearance. But it's probably not going to happen in this body. Therefore, Krishna is cautioning us so that we understand that we should make the best use of this human form of life. Now, whether we believe in Krishna or not, still someone is telling us this information. There is someone who has enough intelligence to tell us that our body is changing. Now, if one goes to the learned universities, even public school or kindergarten or the first grade or high school or whatever, how many times in class have we heard that the body is changing, but the soul is eternal? Has anyone ever heard a lecture about the eternality of the soul at the university in your physics class? But isn't that an important subject matter, the fact that we're eternal? Isn't that more important than whether light is a wave or if it's a particle or a wavicle? When I studied physics at the university, they told me that in 1920 they thought light was a particle. In 1940 they discovered that it was a wavicle. And now they say it's a popsicle. But what's different whether light is a wave or a particle or a wavicle or a popsicle? What's the difference? When we're watching TV, do we look at the TV and think, is this a wave? Is it a particle, a wavicle, or a popsicle? It makes no difference to people. They just want to watch the television. So science is always changing. They always have a different, so-called science is always changing. It always has a different opinion every decade or so. But it makes no difference in who we actually are. And our real problem is that we have to leave this body and we have to go somewhere else. When you leave the body and then you wind up in some place, say you go to St. Peter and he's looking at your book of activities. And he says, you can enter into heaven if you answer one question. Is light a wave? Is it a particle? Is it a wavicle? Or is it a popsicle? Choose the answer. No, where we're going makes no difference, whatever the light may be. Just like there was one man, he was very miserly. He would never give anything to anyone. But he heard that if he gives a donation to the church, then he's guaranteed to go to heaven. So he wasn't very generous, but he went to the church and gave the priest $5. And he demanded a receipt. So the priest said, for $5 we don't usually give receipts. But he was demanding it so much, the priest decided to just write the receipt. He'd get rid of the guy. So then he left his body. And he's so attached, he was able to carry the receipt with him.
In his subtle body?
Yes, a subtle receipt. But it was signed by the priest, so it was still valid. So he was going through the gates where they judge everyone, the pearly gates, the book of life. So it came his turn. St. Peter looked at the book of life and said, you're a miserly, wicked person. You've been a miserly, wicked person. You should go to hell. He said, wait a second. The priest told me if I give a donation, I'm guaranteed to go to heaven. And he's your representative. So he takes out his receipt, shows it to St. Peter. And there's a big argument. And the whole line of judgment is being backed up. So God is looking out through his window, wondering why there's such a delay in judgments. They're giving him a bad reputation that hell is not very efficient. So he comes out and asks Peter, what's the problem? Why is the delay? So St. Peter says that actually this man has come and I looked at his records and it was all very bad. So I told him he has to go to hell. So the man had pulled out a receipt for $5 and told him that the priest had guaranteed him if he gives a donation, he'd go to heaven. So it seems like he has some argument. So God pulls St. Peter's to the side, pulls out his wallet, and gives St. Peter $5. And it says, give him back his $5.
Gonna go to hell.
And tell him to go to hell. So we're thinking like that somehow or another, in spite of whatever I'm doing, I'm such a good person, I'm sure to go to a nice destination. But the Supreme Lord in our heart is giving us intelligence and knowledge so we can go to a good destination. That's why he speaks Bhagavad Gita. So we can avoid going to a bad destination and going to sleep for 311 trillion, 40 billion years. Because we've missed a lot of good things during that time. The scientists tell us it's not good to oversleep. So we should avoid sleeping too much or sleeping too little. So 311 trillion, 40 billion years is too much. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is giving us good intelligence. Even if we don't believe there's such a thing as a night of Brahma, still, our main concern in life is that we're afraid of death. Now, people are very concerned about death. And some people, they claim, I'm not afraid of death. But if they weren't afraid of death, why when they walk across the street, they look both ways? Why don't they just close their eyes and just walk across the street? If a car hits them, what's the problem? You're not afraid of death. Why do they look both ways? Because they are afraid of death. Because most people have absolutely no idea where they're going after we leave this body. Nor do they even know that they're going to go somewhere after leaving this body. And most of the places that are described are not very desirable. Therefore, they want to stay here, but it's not possible. Nor do they know that there are alternatives, good and bad. So Krishna Bhagavad Gita will describe the good ones and also the bad ones, and tell us what to do to come to the good ones, and what to do, not to do, so that we don't go to the bad ones. And Krishna in our heart, as the super soul, the Paramatma, will remind us what he says in the Bhagavad Gita. If we want. If we actually want to go to the bad ones, we want to go to the lower species of life, or we want to come back in a very passionate society. Then Krishna will help us forget what he told us of the good ones. like going to the heavenly planets or going back to the spiritual world. Krishna will help us forget all about these things he says in Bhagavad Gita. And give us an intense desire to enjoy in the material world. And therefore get the results of that. So that's up to us, what we want. Whatever we ask Krishna, then he'll remind us. If we desire Krishna, tell me, what's the best drug to take? And we inquire for everyone, what are the effects of this drug, and do a survey. Which drug helps you become high for how long? What kind of hallucinations do you get? What's the recovery rate? One can do a study to find out what's the best use of drugs. As I said, at the university I went to here in New York, in Buffalo, I was a psychology major, and in the psychology department they got a number of grants. Two of them, one of them was why spiders build webs. I remember that one. The U.S. government gave them $90,000 to do a study on why spiders build webs. You'll never guess what, after months and months of investigation, what they discovered. Do you know what they discovered why spiders build webs? What's that? Well, they discovered to catch flies.
90,000 later.
But there are also studies on the effects of marijuana, especially on sex desire. And although for many studies it was hard to get volunteers, but at the university I went to, there were so many volunteers for that study. And they even got paid for it. So there's a great interest in such things. And therefore Krishna will give the intelligence what the effects of drugs are, whatever we want. Krishna will give us remind us. I remember I was at the university and I was distributing books there. This is in 1971. This is the University of Texas in Austin. So every day in the afternoon we go there and distribute books. So I met one student and I tried to sell him a Bhagavad Gita. And I showed him this changing body, how one time there's a little baby body, a 5-year-old body, 15-year-old body, 40-year-old body, etc. So many changing bodies. So I showed him the picture and I said, which body do you have? And he pointed to one of the bodies. And somehow or another he got this realization. He said, wow, that's fantastic. I'm not this body. So then I gave him back the book and I said, well, keep the book and just give a donation. That there's a lot of other information in the book also. But he gave me back the book and shook my hand. He said, that's fantastic philosophy. that I'm not this body, but I'm not interested in the book. And he just left. We call that Maya, or illusion. So whatever we want, Krishna will give us. After all, if he took seriously that he's not this body, it would spoil his material life. But that's the last thing he came onto the street to find out. But if he would have taken the book, he would have found out much more. At least he would have found out something that's real, rather than all the ever-changing speculations that people are discussing. But he wasn't interested. And unfortunately, most people aren't interested. If you go to a university nowadays and you ask it which I did during class, I was a devotee, at least trying to become a devotee, with this devotee and everything. I went to the university for a year and a half, 2 years, as a devotee. And I asked questions that the professors didn't like very much. But if you raise your hand at one of these classes I went to and ask the learned professor, what is the duty of one who's about to die? Nowadays, the professor would have called the university, called the police.
He's threatening me.
That this student is threatening me. He's a terrorist, potential terrorist. Because people aren't interested in that question. They don't like that question at all. They don't even want to hear it. What to speak of answering it. So for those who want the answer, the Bhagavad Gita is there. And for one who doesn't want the answer, the whole New York City is there.
Follow what you want.
Yes. So I'll stop there. Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Any questions?
How long are you in town for, Maharaj?
As long as Krishna wants.
Okay,
All of us may have to leave early. All right, so we can stop there. Thank you very much. Grandaraj Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Pramanande. Hari Bol.
Hari.
Are we early?
No. So it's March. We're doing one more thing.
Okay.
We want to chat March?
No, so that's...
March, you have to play cartels, Madonna, or neither. Play the cartel. Ganesha.
Raj, where are you going to sit?
The floor. Oh, March. Yeah. Maybe we can adjust positions. Rama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prasarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarine Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare 22nd Avenue, Key. Jai Gaur Bibinande, Hari Hari Bol.
Prahladananda Maharaj ki jai.
So I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this evening. Each and every one of you for coming here. It means a lot to us, and I hope it similarly means a lot to you to get together here and glorify Lord Krishna under the auspices of Srila Prabhupada's guidance and association, and through His Holiness Prahladananda Maharaj. And we're so very, very grateful to have you here, Maharaj. Hare Krishna. If you agree with me and appreciate Maharaj's association this evening, please join me expressing appreciation to Maharaj. His Holiness Prahladananda Swami Ki Jai!